Good morning. How are you today? It's Tuesday. I hope that you are waking up and putting your best foot forward today. I know you can say to me, but Kristen, I don't like what I do. I don't like my job. It's what I have to have right now to get by. Fine. And what I'm going to say to you is, that's great. Put your best foot forward. Smile while you're doing it. Do the best that you can because the more, good morning, Caitlin, because when you do, you're given more later. So if you want something different, if you want something better and you don't like where you're at right now, put a smile on. Do your best because your best is amazing. So tomorrow, I will not have Jesus time at 7. My son has an appointment at 7 a.m. So we will be at his appointment. I will do it at some point. It may just be afternoon Jesus time as opposed to 7 a.m. Jesus time. Okay. So I just didn't want you to think, oh my gosh, she didn't get up. No, I got up. I just, I had to take my son to an appointment and he's going to be really upset because he is not used to getting up at 6:30 in the morning. So that'll be fun. Okay. So if you'd like to see my other videos, they are on my YouTube. You can go and check out my YouTube. They're almost all there. I've been doing really good at being consistent and putting them up every morning before I go upstairs. And that has really helped make sure that they get there. So if you want to see those, you can check my link in the bio and they're there. Okay. All right. So this morning I am on Psalm 23, part 2. Yesterday we read the verse that that is shared around the world, that a lot of people hear. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I lack. And I feel that to my soul. That was sometimes the things that I feel like I'm meant to see in these don't really pop out because I'm so just in love with the whole part that maybe I don't look for the small. But I finally, the Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I lack really pops out at me. And, I think about that. And it seems kind of simple sometimes, but we forget that in our quest to have more or to be more or to dream more or to goal more or whatever it is that we want to do, we forget that right now we literally don't lack anything. We have everything we need. Stuff is stuff. Okay. That's part of the world. But we have everything we need because we have Jesus. We have him. And we honestly don't need anything else. I mean, I know the world tells us that we do over and over every day. Somebody tells us we need something. But if we really boil it down to the nitty gritty of our life, all we need is Jesus. And a lot of times when we can't see past the stuff and we can't see past the world and we can't see past the stuff right in front of us and that stuff becomes kind of like our God, Jesus will start taking that away. Even if we don't realize that's what happened, that is what's happened. If we rely more on the things in front of us or more on the people in front of us than we do on God, that stuff will start to disappear. And if we are so connected to those things and that world and those people, then that will make us angry, bitter, sad, depressed, feel alone, desolate. But in all honesty, that stuff is leaving for your good. Okay, because when you are so connected to something of the world, Jesus wants you to be connected to him. He wants you to know that he is all you need. All of these things that you treasure and value so much that you put it before Jesus, it's an accident sometimes. Look, I'll tell you a story in a minute. But all of these things that we think are more important than Jesus, even without realizing it, they're gonna disappear anyway, eventually. You'll die. even if they never leave your life on earth, you will die. And then when you go to heaven and God says, why did you value those worldly treasures more than you valued me? What's their answer going to be? Are you going to feel comfortable answering that question? Do you feel comfortable answering that question right now? I don't. I mean, I would not at all want to do that. And so my story is simple. I've told my story a few times in these videos, but sometimes even our family can come before God. And so I've told you about my father, maybe a couple of times, and he's not in our life. And as I was growing up, he was in our life, and he was somebody that I could always depend on, somebody that I could always go to for advice, somebody that always gave me advice that I felt like was solid. I mean, I had to learn from my own. I mean, I'm just a stubborn child like anybody else. But looking back, I can see that most all of his advice was solid, and eventually I learned that pretty much what he said was right when it came to living my life, right? And learning lessons. And so our bond was strong when I was growing up. But the thing about it is, looking back, he is my biological father put here on earth, but Jesus is my father, right? And so if I am so concentrated on the advice that my father here on earth is giving me, and that being my go-to, as opposed to going directly to God and saying, what do I do? How do I do this? Who should I trust? What should I, blah, 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 all the things. Then there's a disconnect there. And so I very much believe, even though it was hard and I was, even though it was a very difficult time in my life and the way that it happened was awful, I very much believe that it happens like that to us because we accidentally put that person or that thing right in the middle of our relationship with God, and it doesn't allow it to grow. Your relationship can't go any further than this ceiling because this is where you've stopped it. And God wants to be more than that. He wants you. He doesn't even give you a ceiling. Like, that's the thing. Why do we want to keep this ceiling and not grow anymore in our relationship with God when God himself does not even give you a ceiling? You can literally grow in Jesus as much as you want. But when you put a person or a thing in between you and the relationship with him, you're just constantly banging your head on it. And you don't even realize it. So a lot of times the things of the world just disappear because they're keeping us from fully growing into our relationship with Jesus, fully walking out our life with him, right? And so don't get connected like that to the things in your life, the people in your life. Yes, you are meant to love them, right? And love sometimes is different. On earth, I think our version of love has been skewed so much on earth that we think that we need to put 110% into everybody of love. We need to give everything we have. We need to internalize everything that they say about us. We need to make sure that they say all the good things. If they say anything bad, then it hurts our heart. If they say anything ugly, then it hurts our heart. It makes us feel like we're a bad person, when in reality, none of that is true. And so the love that we give somebody, it takes on a different form than maybe what we should give them. And I'll just go to that in just a minute. But I just wanted to tell you that really, the Lord is my shepherd. There is nothing I lack because you have Jesus. Because you have him. You don't need anything else. And you don't need anything in the middle of the relationship causing you to butt your head up against it. So if you have something there that's doing that, let it go. Let it go. No, not doing that. No. But get rid of it. Can't even say that phrase without that song being in my head. I'm sorry. Okay, if you've never watched Frozen, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So today I read the second part. You set a table before me in front of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Indeed, goodness and mercy will pursue me all the days of my life. I will dwell in the house of the Lord for endless days. For endless days. So if we have something that's sitting right here in the middle of our relationship with God, okay, and we're hitting our head up against it, what if we don't get those endless days because our relationship never grew? Our path never developed. We never did what Jesus asked us to do. We didn't even know what it was because we were so focused on the stuff right in front of us, on the world right in front of us. Then we didn't know because we didn't ask. We didn't ask him, and we didn't allow ourselves to see past that thing in the middle. So I encourage you today, literally, if you have something, anything, if you have possessions, addiction, believe me, living as a child of a parent with an addiction issue, which is part of the reason that all of that happened in the first place. Addiction is an ugly beast that hides itself well. That hides itself well sometimes. And in other times, it's right out there for everybody to see. And it might be easy to look at somebody and say, they can just say no. But they can't. That's not how addiction works. And I fully and wholeheartedly believe that addiction is a thing right here for people. And Satan has put it there because the people that the people that are addicted to a thing that keeps them from pretty much any relationship in their life, they have such a light in them. They have a huge, bright, shining light for Jesus. And Satan wants to keep it away from them. And those that conquer it, you can see that. You can hear them. And they do such an awesome job of shining it. Because conquering addiction is it's a God-led feat. Right? And maybe one day I'll feel comfortable enough talking about that, but it's not today. So just know that if you have a family member or a friend who has been led astray by that, they have a soul and a beauty in them that they don't even know about. And just pray they find it. What does God really want for your life? What does he want for my life? And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about how love has been changed and skewed into something completely different than I think what it is meant to be. Okay? When you hear or you think, what does God want from me? What does he want for my life? What do you want me to do? He wants me to please everybody. He wants me to do everything for everybody. He wants me to clothe the homeless, to feed the sick, to help the sick, to clothe the, all those things. Apparently I'm off on my words there, but he wants me to feed the homeless. He wants me to clothe the homeless. He wants me to love. He wants me to give. He wants me to give all of me. He wants me to give in secret. He doesn't want me to tell people about it. He doesn't want me to be boastful. He wants me to be humble. He wants me to make sure that I give everything in me. So, we get so wrapped up in all the things that we have to do for everybody else because we feel like that's how we're going to show love. And then we put a lot on ourselves if we are not able to do that. I know that I understand. Look, I am the mom with 5 children who wants very badly to go and take them to a homeless shelter and help them, let them feed and help them do. But I am not the mother that can do that. And the reason that I say that is because my inability to keep everybody together. They won't all stay with me. I mean, to make sure that they are not touching things that they are not supposed to touch, or maybe saying things that might hurt somebody's feelings, or, and anyway, I, for a long time, beat myself up about that. I should be able to do more. 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 But the only thing I can do is get through this day. The only thing I can do is honestly get through this day. And the thing about that is, God sees you. God sees you. He knows where you are. It does not matter where anybody else is or what anybody else does. Don't compare yourself. He sees you where you are. He knows what you need there. And he knows that you are giving your all to that situation. And there's no energy for this over here right now. One day, okay? One day there will be, and give yourself that slack. Give yourself that. No, one day there will be that time, and it will be your time then to go out and do that. But it's not right now, and that's okay. But we've skewed love into this thing that has to look perfect. Well, if I perfectly love somebody, that means 1, I accept everything they do. 2, I will sit on the couch and wallow with them in their pity and not try to pick them up and help them keep going. I will just let them sit there and do that because that's what they need and that's who they are and whatever. 3, I will do every single thing they ask me to do, no matter what it conflicts with in my life, no matter how much of a mental health toll that takes on me. I will make sure that I do it. And 4, I will agree with them. Maybe I said this already, but I will agree with everything they do, which is enabling. So, love has become skewed into this thing of, if you don't agree with me, you don't love me. And that's not what it is. In this passage, she's talking about how she feels like God wants her to be perfect. And when I say perfect, it's all the things that I explained to you. Giving all your time, giving all of yourself, doing all the things, and beating yourself up for the things that you can't do. In Psalm 23, it says, Psalm 18, it says, God's way is perfect, and he makes my way perfect. Okay. So, we've talked about the word perfect before. In Hebrew, it means complete. Here, they say in Greek, it means more of growth for completion. So complete again, right? Growing to be complete. Growing, completion. Not perfect in the way that you never do anything wrong, because that's not a real thing. But perfect in the way that you are growing to your completion. And he makes my way perfect. He makes my way, I'm growing to be complete. Whatever that looks like in your life. Whatever that path that God has given you in your life. It will only be complete in heaven. You're not going to reach perfection or growth to completion on this earth. You're going to reach that in heaven. That is where that is complete. Here we only strive to continue to grow towards that. And to continue to grow towards that is through love. God is love. And all who live in love live in God. And God lives in them. And as we live in God, our love grows more perfect. 1 John 4:16. Love has been made in these days to be a watered down version of what it is. And if we don't agree with each other, you don't love me. You have to agree with what I say to love me. But that's not real love. That's not real love. Real love is picking you up when you are down and not allowing you to stay down. Real love is helping you to see where the next step is and not allowing you to sit in the despair. Real love is picking, if someone is wrong, if someone is doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, being ugly, having a bad attitude, having this, having that, whatever, if you see them treating another human being wrongly, meanly, harshly, bullying, any of these things. Love is to say, no, this is wrong. This is not what we are supposed to do. Do not let mob mentality and the mentality of I have to be the same, I have to let her, don't let that come into your head. Know that if you see something wrong, you are meant to say, that is wrong. You're not meant to fall in line and do the same thing. And if your friend or your family is doing something that you know is hurting somebody else, that you know is not loving, that you know is hurting themselves, because we're a temple and we're supposed to love our bodies and treat it with respect because God has given it to us, and you know they are hurting themselves, then out of love, you need to step forward and say, this is not right. It's hard for people to hear. Love is hard to sometimes be able to share. If you have an addict in your family and this is hard. If you have an addict in your family and you allow them to continue their behavior and you continuously pick them up when they have fallen, when they have hurt themselves so badly that they can't get up, or when they put themselves in a dangerous situation, or when they have gotten in trouble with the law, or you continuously believe the lies that are being told to you just so that you can make sure that life is rosy and peachy, you're enabling them. And that is not love. I'm not saying kick him out the door and never see him again. Unless that's what has to happen. But love is being willing to say, I love you more than this. What you're doing to yourself is harming you. It could kill you. Love is not agreeing with everything that everybody does all the time and says. Love is also not judging. Let me tell you that. We don't go to that other extreme either. Love is not judging. We don't know where that person's soul is going. And we can't look at somebody and say, well, you're going to hell. That's not for us to decide. Sometimes love has to be far away. Sometimes love has to be through prayer. Sometimes love has to be through forgiveness and prayer far away. And sometimes people will say that you are judging them for when you love them enough to tell them that they are harming themselves and that you are worried about them. And they will push you away. And that will be hard. Good morning, Heather. But love is not soft. Love does not sit idly by while others hurt other people or themselves. We are called to love one another. And it's not an easy thing to do. People hurt us. People might not love us back. People might say ugly things. You might lose an entire section of your life for loving somebody the right way. but you are doing them good. You are loving them well. And that's what we're called for. We're called to love. God does not agree with everything that we do or say, and he would not come down here and stand in front of you and say, yeah, that's fine, while you dig yourself into a hole. He wouldn't do that. We shouldn't either. So, y'all, I'm just going to be honest. This is really hard. Because it brings up stuff that I don't generally talk about. So, it must be time. It must be time to talk about it. I want you to know something. You are not alone. Okay? Whatever hard has happened in your life, or is happening now, you are not alone. I'm proud of you.